The rain started without warning, the kind that soaked through jackets and turned streetlights into blurred halos. Ethan Cole tightened his grip on the steering wheel as his old pickup rattled to a stop on the shoulder. The engine coughed once, then died. Perfect timing. He exhaled slowly, glancing at the clock. Late again. His son, Noah, would already be asleep by the time he got home. Ethan stepped out into the rain, lifting the hood and staring at the familiar mess of wires and steam. He could fix it. He always did. But tonight his hands felt heavy. A few car lengths ahead, another vehicle sat stranded, hazard lights blinking weakly. A sleek black sedan. Expensive. Out of place on this broken stretch of road. Ethan hesitated. Then he remembered the words he told Noah every morning. If someone's stuck, you help. No matter what. He jogged toward the sedan. Inside sat a woman gripping the wheel, her face pale, hair pulled into a tight knot that rain was slowly undoing. She looked up, startled. "I'm not asking for money," Ethan said quickly, rain dripping from his jacket. "Just thought I could help." She studied him for a moment, then nodded. "It won't start. I've tried everything." Ethan popped the hood, rain soaking his shirt as he worked. 10 minutes later, the engine turned over smoothly. The woman let out a shaky laugh. "I don't know how to thank you." Ethan wiped his hands. "Just get home safe." He didn't know her name. He didn't know who she was. And he definitely didn't know she was the CEO who had signed his layoff papers that very morning. Ethan watched the black sedan disappear into the rain before jogging back to his own truck. The engine was still steaming, but he ignored it, climbing inside and turning the key again. This time it caught on. Barely, but enough. He drove home with the windows fogged and his thoughts unsettled. Something about the woman's eyes stayed with him. Not gratitude, not fear, recognition, like she'd been carrying a weight for far too long. By the time Ethan reached his small apartment, the lights were off. Noah's backpack rested by the door, his superhero sneakers tucked neatly beside it. Ethan smiled despite the exhaustion. The next morning, everything unraveled. Ethan sat at the kitchen table, coffee untouched, staring at the email on his phone. Subject: workforce restructuring, effective immediately. He'd read it already. 3 times. Still didn't make it feel real. "Noah," he called gently, forcing steadiness into his voice. "We're going to be okay, all right?" Noah nodded, distracted by his cereal, blissfully unaware. Later that day, Ethan stopped by the employment office to submit paperwork. A television played silently in the corner, rolling through business news headlines. He barely glanced at it, until a familiar face filled the screen. The woman from the rain. Dry now, perfectly styled, standing behind a podium. Elena Royce, CEO of Royce Dynamics, addresses company layoffs. Ethan's breath caught. The same eyes, the same voice. The woman whose car he'd fixed in the storm was the same woman whose signature sat at the bottom of his termination notice. And suddenly, helping her didn't feel like a coincidence at all. Ethan couldn't get her face out of his mind. Elena Royce, CEO. The name echoed every time he closed his eyes. He replayed the moment on the roadside. How human she'd seemed, how small the world felt then. Now it felt impossibly unfair. 2 days later, Ethan found himself back at Royce Dynamics. Not by choice. A call from HR had come that morning. Administrative follow-up. Exit documentation. He almost didn't go. Pride urged him to walk away. Rent reminded him otherwise. The lobby was exactly how he remembered. Glass walls, marble floors, quiet confidence humming in the air. Employees moved with purpose, avoiding eye contact. Ethan waited, folder in hand, feeling like a ghost. Then the elevator doors opened. Elena stepped out. She stopped mid-stride when she saw him. Her expression shifted, surprise first, then something deeper. Recognition. Guilt. "Ethan," she said quietly, as if saying his name mattered. He straightened. "Ms. Royce." They stood there, the space between them charged and awkward. She glanced around, then gestured toward a side corridor. "Please," she said, "can we talk?" Inside a small conference room, silence pressed in. "I didn't know," Elena said finally. "About you. About the layoff. I swear." Ethan met her gaze. "I know how this works. Decisions made above people's lives." Her jaw tightened. "You helped me when you didn't have to. And you fired me when you didn't know me," he replied calmly. The truth hung between them, uncomfortable, undeniable, and neither of them knew what to do with it. Elena folded her arms, pacing the small conference room like a woman trying to outrun her own thoughts. Ethan stayed where he was, hands relaxed at his sides, ready to leave the moment she dismissed him. He had learned not to expect mercy for people in power. "I built this company on efficiency," Elena said finally. "Numbers. Systems. Clean decisions." Ethan nodded once. "People aren't numbers." She stopped pacing. "No," she admitted quietly. "They aren't. And that's where I failed." She turned to face him, really face him this time. Not as a driver, not as a name on a spreadsheet, as a man who had stood in the rain to help a stranger. "I can't undo the layoff," Elena said. "The board signed off. It's done." Ethan felt the sting anyway, but didn't show it. "I understand. But," she continued, her voice firmer now, "I can offer you something else." She slid a folder across the table. 6-month contract. Operation support. Flexible hours. Remote when needed. Ethan didn't touch the folder. "Why?" "Because I need people around me who act with integrity when no one's watching," she said. "And because my company shouldn't lose someone like you." Silence stretched. "My son comes first," Ethan said. "Always." Elena nodded immediately. "Then we build the job around that." He finally opened the folder, scanning the terms. It wasn't charity. It was fair, thoughtful. Ethan closed it slowly. "I'll think about it," he said. As he stood to leave, Elena spoke again, softer this time. "Thank you for that night. Not for fixing my car. For reminding me who I want to be." Ethan paused, then nodded once before walking out, leaving her with a decision that might change them both. Ethan didn't answer Elena's offer right away. That night, he sat at the small kitchen table while Noah colored beside him, crayons spread like tiny explosions of color. The apartment was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the soft scratch of crayon on paper. "Daddy," Noah said without looking up, "why do grown-ups sigh so much?" Ethan smiled faintly. "Because thinking can get heavy." Noah nodded as if that made perfect sense, then held up his drawing. 2 stick figures stood under a cloud, rain falling around them. One held an umbrella big enough for both. "That's you," Noah said, pointing. "You always help." Ethan's chest tightened. Later, after Noah fell asleep, Ethan reread the contract on his phone. The hours were flexible. The pay was fair. The work, real work. Not pity. Not a favor. Still, something held him back. Trust wasn't easy when life had taught him how quickly things could be taken away. The next morning, Ethan stood outside Royce Dynamics again, watching employees stream through the glass doors. He thought about the road in the rain, about Elena's eyes when she realized who he was, about the way she'd listened instead of defending herself. Inside her office, Elena was staring at her inbox when the notification appeared. From Ethan Cole. Subject: Contract offer. She opened it slowly. "I'll accept, on one condition. I'm treated like anyone else. No exceptions, no favors." Elena smiled for the first time that day. "Agreed," she typed back. "Welcome aboard, Ethan." Neither of them knew it yet, but that simple yes had just shifted the direction of both their lives. Ethan's first week back at Royce Dynamics felt strange. Familiar hallways, new role. He no longer wore a uniform or waited by the garage. Now he had a desk near the operations team, a company badge that didn't say contractor in small print. People noticed. Some offered polite smiles. Others whispered. Ethan ignored all of it, focusing on the work. Processes were broken. Communication between departments was worse. He fixed problems the same way he fixed engines. Quietly, methodically, without needing applause. Elena noticed everything. She watched him during meetings, how he listened more than he spoke, how, when he did speak, people leaned in. No ego, just clarity. One evening, she found him alone in a conference room, sleeves rolled up, scribbling notes across a whiteboard. "You don't have to stay late," she said. Ethan capped the marker. "I'll leave early for school drop-offs. This balances it." She hesitated, then asked, "Does Noah like his school?" He looked surprised, then softened. "He loves it. Our class mostly." Elena smiled. "He gets that from you." "No," Ethan said, amused. "From his mom." The room went quiet. "I'm sorry," Elena said gently. Ethan nodded. "So am I." But we moved forward. Something shifted in that moment. Not romance. Not yet. Just understanding. As Elena walked back to her office, she realized something unsettled her. For the first time in years, she didn't feel alone at the top. And for the first time, Ethan felt like he belonged somewhere again. The rain returned the following week, tapping gently against the office windows as evening settled in. Most employees had already left when Elena noticed Ethan still at his desk, headphones on, reviewing reports. "You're going to miss dinner," she said, stopping beside him. He removed one ear cup. Already ordered takeout for Noah. Neighbors watching him. Elena hesitated. "Would you like to join me for coffee?" Strictly professional. Ethan smiled slightly. "You lead with honesty. I respect that." They walked to a small cafe across the street, umbrellas in hand. The place was quiet, warm lights spilling onto the rain-soaked sidewalk. Over coffee, conversation drifted from work to childhood, to mistakes, to the things neither of them had planned for. "I never believed in luck," Elena admitted, stirring her cup. "I believed in control." "And?" Ethan asked. She met his eyes. "Control failed me." Ethan nodded. "Helping people never did." Their hands rested close on the table, not touching, but aware. Outside, the rain softened. Inside, something fragile and new began to form. Back at the office entrance, they paused. "This doesn't have to be complicated," Elena said. Ethan smiled. "Nothing meaningful ever is." They parted ways without promises, without expectations, but with something neither could deny. That night, Elena stared out at the city from her penthouse, thinking of the man who'd fixed her car and unknowingly repaired something in her too. And Ethan drove home smiling, realizing the road ahead no longer felt quite so lonely. The weeks that followed settled into a careful rhythm. Ethan worked. Elena led. They crossed paths daily, always professional, always respectful. But beneath the surface, something steady grew. One afternoon, Noah's school called. Ethan answered just outside the office. His shoulders tensed. When he returned, Elena noticed immediately. "Everything okay?" she asked. "Sprained ankle," he said. "Nothing serious, but I need to pick him up." "Go," Elena said without hesitation. "I'll cover the meeting." He paused. "You don't have to." "I want to." Later that evening, Ethan sat beside Noah's bed, reading while his son drifted toward sleep. He thought about Elena canceling a board meeting without blinking, about how natural it had felt. The next day, Elena found a small envelope on her desk. Inside was Noah's drawing. Two people under an umbrella, no rain touching them. On the back, written in careful letters, "Thank you for helping my dad." Elena pressed the paper to her chest. That evening, she sent Ethan a message. "Dinner tomorrow?" Noah included. He replied minutes later. "Only if you're okay with crayons on the table." Her response was immediate. "I wouldn't have it any other way." For the first time, neither of them felt like they were choosing between responsibility and happiness. They were choosing both. Dinner with Noah changed everything. They met at a small family restaurant near the park, nothing fancy. Ethan arrived first, Noah limping slightly but grinning, his sketchbook tucked under his arm. When Elena walked in, wearing a simple sweater and jeans instead of a power suit, Noah's eyes widened. "You're prettier than Daddy's phone picture," he announced. Ethan froze. Elena laughed, genuine and unguarded. "I'll take that as a compliment," she said, crouching to Noah's level. Over burgers and fries, Noah talked nonstop. About school, about superheroes, about how his dad fixed cars and helped people. Elena listened like every word mattered. Later, as Noah colored quietly, Elena leaned toward Ethan. "You're doing an incredible job." He swallowed. "I'm just doing my best." Outside, under the streetlights, Noah hugged Elena before climbing into the car. "You can come again," he said seriously. "We like you." Driving home, Ethan felt something unfamiliar, hope without fear. The next morning, rumors surfaced. A photo from the restaurant circulated internally. Nothing inappropriate. Just smiles. Just truth. Ethan prepared himself. Instead, Elena called a company-wide meeting. "My personal life is my own," she said calmly. "But let me be clear. Respect and transparency matter. Anyone who has an issue with that is free to speak to HR. No apologies. No hiding." Afterward, Ethan found her on the rooftop garden. "You didn't have to do that," he said. "Yes," she replied softly. "I did." For the first time, they weren't protecting the moment. They were owning it. Spring arrived quietly, softening the city and everything in it. Ethan stood in the schoolyard watching Noah run toward him, crutches gone, laughter easy again. Elena stood a few steps behind, sunglasses pushed in her hair, holding a paper bag with 3 coffees, 2 hot, 1 iced, exactly the way Ethan liked it. "You remembered," he said. "I pay attention," she replied. Life didn't suddenly become perfect. Work was still demanding. Parenting was still exhausting. Some days were messy, but they were real. One evening, as they walked through the park, Noah ran ahead, chasing pigeons. Ethan slowed. "I spent years believing luck wasn't for people like me," he said quietly. "Single dads. Men who get laid off." Elena stopped walking. "I spent years believing luck was something you controlled." She took his hand. "Turns out, it's something you choose." They stood there, city lights flickering on, 2 people who had stopped running from uncertainty. No dramatic promises. No grand declarations. Just presence. Later that night, Ethan tucked Noah into bed. "Daddy," Noah said sleepily, "is she staying?" Ethan smiled. "If we're lucky." Noah nodded. "I think we are." If this story moved you, like the video, subscribe for more emotional, real-life inspired stories.